So let's talk about screens for a minute. So right from the beginning I knew I wanted an e-ink screen. It's just so visible, looks so crisp, and it's easy on the eye as well. But it took me a few attempts to find the right one. There's some that were a bit grey and some looked a bit weird around the edges. Then there's obviously some really good ones, nice and fast, and if they ever go in focus they would be useful. But then I found this screen, which you can't really tell right now, but is actually a higher resolution screen. So it's best of both worlds. You get a nice fast refresh and you get a nice resolution, which is the one that's in this one now. So it's readable, usable, not too slow to use. Obviously you get a bit of flickering to start with, but I've changed settings so you can actually use it a bit better. But then while I was trying to price things up to see how feasible it is to do a crowdfunding and how much I'd have to charge everybody, I suddenly found out that these screens would probably be about 6 months before I can get my hands on any more, which isn't great obviously, because just ordered some more boards and they're on the way from China, and things are going to start getting fun right now, so I don't really want to be waiting 6 months for some screens. So I did some shopping around, found some LCD screens that were obviously colour screen, so they'd be faster and they'd be a bit more jazzy, and when you're doing code editing you can highlight different things and stuff, but it kind of moves away from the whole idea of the device. It needs to be a bit more sedate and a bit more less distracting, shall we say. And then somebody mentioned reflective LCDs, which I have seen because a lot of the e-ink manufacturers make them, but most of them don't sell them anymore. They've made them a bit and then given up on them because they're not popular. But I found somebody, and then I got some of these. So obviously they look a little bit different because they're just the nice retro grey LCD, like a mirror on the back, no accidental selfies, and obviously that's what makes it reflective. So there's one in there. You might notice, if I show you, the screen's actually a touch smaller. I can actually line them up properly without the ribbon splashing. So the actual LCD is the same size pretty much as the visible area of the e-ink display, so it's a bit narrower, a lot shorter. It hasn't got the excess glass on the end and stuff. So 99% of it is still the right size. You can just about see on the edges here it doesn't quite cover it. So I've been a bit generous with this window because there's a slight thickness to the board, so I don't want that to get in your way of viewing the board if it's too close to the edge. But I might be able to figure out some kind of trim piece or something like that. But click the button and we have screen. I had to do a bit of messing around to get a bit of speed out of it, because initially it used to refresh from one side to the other, so every time it refreshed you could see it visibly refresh from one side to the other, and that was a bit rubbish, to be honest. But now it is pretty speedy, and obviously reflective. You can see my lights in there, and side by side they don't look too bad as long as you get it in the right light. But one thing you will notice, if I go into the editor and make a new file, enter a file name, give it a second to think. That's no SD card, but that's fine. You can type away and it's usable. It's not terribly slow. But if you do the same on here, so we do into editor, new file, call it test. That file already exists. Useful. Right, okay, let's open a file instead. So what I can do on this, because it's a lot faster, you can have a little animation so you can see that it's loading and thinking and doing something. So we can open our test file, and then there's obviously meaningful stuff in there. What you can type, and it's a heck of a lot faster. And if we open a file that's a little bit more involved, let's just see what I've got. Let's So I'll let the screen code, there's a bit of stuff in the screen code. So you can scroll, and if you hold down a function, or even lock the function, you can do page up, page down. So you can scroll up and down a file super fast, and it looks great. So are we changing to this? Well, I don't think we're going to be honest, because I still like the e-ink screen, mostly for the reason of if you just hold that in the light it looks beautiful, but if you're holding it out of the light you can barely see it, which is a bit rubbish. And obviously if you've got two side by side like that, and you go from nice sunny day to indoors and the light fades, my camera's probably not going to be happy because I'm turning the lights down, and you get to the point where the e-ink you can still use quite comfortably, because the LCD you're sort of struggling a bit unless you get it exactly angled at the light, which obviously isn't fantastic. Brightness warning there. So what I think I'm going to do is actually offer both options. So when I eventually do the crowdfunding, you'll be able to choose whether you want e-ink that's a little bit slower but much easier to read, or you can have the reflective LCD, which is obviously much faster, but you've got to be a bit more precise on how you hold it and where you do it and how you light it. Now there is a possibility, because on the new boards there's loads of backlight LEDs, including on the screen, so it might be possible that we can backlight it, get it actually readable in any light, just with a bit of backlight. But I'm obviously that remains to be seen when the boards come, which won't be very long, and that'll be another video to come. So much more fun to come. Thanks for watching.